Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1981 comedy classic, Modern Problems, starring Chevy Chase, Nell Carter, Dabney Coleman. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. You can send me comments, questions, any movie suggestions you might have, just thoughts about life. You can reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us the big thumbs up. You can also reach me on YouTube, Kevin D. Hit the subscribe button. And you can tweet me or follow me on Twitter at KD9575. Don't forget to spread the word and tell all your homies, won't you? Modern Problems. In this classic film, Chevy Chase plays Max Fiedler. He's a stressed out air traffic controller type. He's having some issues with his girlfriend. Evidently, he's very jealous. He's not very communicative. He's possessive. He's smothering. He's all these kind of negative things. So one day, she just basically walks out the door and says, I'm out of here. They still love each other, but they just can't deal with their relationship for whatever reason. So she goes off and she's kind of dating other people. He's feeling depressed on top of his normal craziness. In fact, he tries to go to like a singles bar or a dinner, a fancy singles restaurant. I don't know if there's such a thing. And just very upset by the whole experience. And on his way home, he gets splashed, and this happens a lot evidently. He gets splashed with toxic waste. How does this happen? Well, he's driving a car. And there's a crazy like tanker truck that's just splashing like this foamy green glowing liquid, just splashing it. And of course he's got his moonroof open. So, so it's just kind of spraying on his car and on him. I don't know, at some point you might want to close the moonroof. Just a thought, just an idea. So he goes to bed literally glowing in the dark. And when he wakes up, he now has special powers. He can move things with his mind. And rather than using these powers to fight crime, like many of us would do, he decides to basically do little crazy pranks, I guess. He follows his ex-girlfriend, who's now kind of his on-again, off-again girlfriend, because they kind of see each other. He messes with the guy she's dating on the side, makes him have a nosebleed. Haha, very funny. The guy she's dating, he is also like this great director of ballet, choreographer, and he has this hot new ballet opening on Broadway. Chevy Chase uses his powers to make it a big mockery, so the guy's ruined, he's ruined. Also, in this movie, we meet Chevy Chase's high school buddy, Brian, who went to Vietnam and is now in a wheelchair, and has, I guess she's like a Haitian housekeeper type who takes care of him, who evidently practices voodoo as well. Max is friends with his ex-wife, Lorraine, who, they're just friends. They just hang out, do things, they go jogging together. It's very 80s. And, you know, so there's this ever-widening circle here. Brian evidently works as like a book publisher, and his top client is this kind of self-help guru played by Dabney Coleman, who's, of course, very obnoxious. If it's Dabney Coleman, you're not going to get the kindler, gentler Dabney Coleman, okay? You're going to get the obnoxious, over-the-top Dabney Coleman. He's obnoxious, yeah, he's very opinionated. So while this is going on, Max, played by Chevy Chase, he's rekindled a relationship with his girl. He's kept it all a secret that his psychic powers. He can move things. But because of his powers, he's kind of, I don't know, becoming more withdrawn and more depressed, or toxic waste is in his brain. He's having a rough time of it, on top of his already rough time of it. To get away, they decide to all go to Brian's beach house. They go there, and I don't want to spoil everything. I don't want to give it all away. But Max's psychic powers reach a limit, and people are convinced he's possessed by the devil. They don't know what's going on. But hopefully it all works out in the end. So there you have that. This is a movie that came out when I was very young, and I remembered it very vaguely. I mean, there are certain movies that we all remember Chevy Chase in. Obviously, he was in like Caddyshack, things like that. What else was he in? But this was one of the movies that came out during his run, if you will. And I only remember a couple scenes. I remember him having psychic powers, and I remember him kind of freaking out. I don't know what the issue was. And I remember Nell Carter was in this. Nell Carter plays the Haitian housekeeper cook who works for Brian, named Dorita. Okay, that's great. Nell Carter, of course, I remember her mostly from her hit 80s sitcom Give Me a Break, where she plays a sassy cook housekeeper type, although ironically not from Haiti. Also in this movie, Brian is played by Brian Doyle Murray, the less heralded brother of Bill Murray, but was also on Saturday Night Live. You can't throw a stick in the 80s without having it hit Brian Doyle Murray. Mary Kay Place plays Chevy Chase's ex-wife, Lorraine. Dabney Coleman, like I said, plays the crazy self-help guru in this. In the 80s, there was a lot of Dabney Coleman. And he always played kind of the arrogant jackass type, kind of a villainous kind of character, but, you know, not evil, per se. Some things about this movie. I watched it for the first time in 25 years this week. And I have to say, not that funny. It's very goofy. There's a lot of, he's using his powers for really kind of, childish, juvenile kind of things. But things that aren't particularly funny. Like I said, he causes the guy's nose to bleed. He ruins the ballet by having the ballet dancer kind of crash into things, and then his pants explode, like in his groin. Yeah, good times. So again, not that funny. It has a cast that you're like, oh, that's cool. That's an interesting cast. Dabney Coleman. One thing. This is the only time you get to see a nude scene with Dabney Coleman. I know you were waiting for that. Yes, you see his white Buddha, if you will. So you have that to look forward to if you have not seen the movie. Nell Carter, as far as I know, did this movie, and then she did Give Me a Break, and that was about it. But it is funny to see her in this after all these years. She tries to use her voodoo to get the demons out of Chevy Chase. It's just not that funny. Even when they go to the beach house, which is supposed to be like the humorous climax of the show, not that great. Dabney Coleman does Dabney Coleman things. Chevy Chase does his things. By the end, he's kind of floating around and making faces and doing his thing. There's one scene where he's having a dream, and he's actually the airplane, and he has like lights kind of attached to him. He actually gets electrocuted in real life. This actually happened. He got shocked so much he was actually driven unconscious, which is kind of a sad thing, evidently. So it is what it is. As I was researching this movie, I kind of looked, and Chevy Chase really had kind of a small window where he was really making great movies. It was basically from like 78 to 88, give or take. Modern Problems was 81. Allegedly, it was in that window. Like I said, not his finest work. I much prefer the vacation movies, or some of the vacation movies, I should say. And obviously, like Fletch, I enjoy Caddyshack. Modern Problems, I wouldn't go so far to say I recommend it, if you will. What else can I tell you about this movie? The director, Ken Shapiro, who had worked with Chevy Chase on a few things in the 60s and the 70s before Saturday Night Live, affectionately described this movie as Carrie meeting Annie Hall. I would say that's very generous of him to compare this, let's just say, not great movie to these other classical films. So there you have it. It's very upsetting. That's Modern Problems. It currently has a 33% from the fans on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess the critics just didn't even want to look at this thing. Not to say that I blame them. Next week, I'm going to be leaving the comedy genre and heading to the action genre. We're going to be doing the Tom Cruise classic, Days of Thunder. It is streaming instantly on Netflix, along with Modern Problems. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Send me any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, questions, or any movie suggestions, and I just might talk about them on the show. Remember, you can reach me on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. You can reach me on our page on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter at KD9575. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. According to these chicken guts, there's going to be an awfully big ruckus here this weekend. So that's it. Thank you for joining us. Next week, Days of Thunder, starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Be well.